Hey guys, it is Coasters and Things here today, and today I'm going to analyze and predict what Six Flags parks could potentially receive a new roller coaster in 2020. I want to state that none of this is confirmed by any of the Six Flags parks yet. This is purely based on what they already have at their parks and what their recent trends have been for receiving rides. So I'm starting off with what is, in my opinion, the best Six Flags park, Six Flags Great Adventure. The last coaster they got was a S&S Free Spin, which aren't particularly notable coasters. They're at a lot of Six Flags parks now. Before that was Green Lantern, which was relocated from a then-defunct Six Flags Kentucky Kingdom, and the Dark Knight coaster. So if you think about it, the last notable coaster they received that was built specifically for Great Adventure was El Toro, which was 13 years ago now. I do think Great Adventure is going to be a park to receive a coaster in 2020. I could see one of two options, a wooden topper track coaster by RMC or another launch coaster, because right now their only launch coaster is King Ka. By far, I would like to see the RMC more. Great Adventure is one of only a few Six Flags parks not to have an RMC. They're for sure not going to RMC El Toro, and right now El Toro is their only wooden coaster, so I'm going to say they get a wooden coaster by RMC for 2020. Magic Mountain is up next, and they're highly unlikely to get a new coaster in 2020, as they're debuting West Coast Racers this year, and I'm 99% certain they're not going to add coasters back-to-back years. And the same can be said for Great America. They're debuting Max Force this year, and they're highly unlikely to get back-to-back coasters. I'm betting on a flat ride for 2020 for Great America. Six Flags Fiesta Texas added Wonder Woman Golden Lasso coaster last year, and they're adding a Zamperla Giant Discovery this year. I kinda doubt that they'll be getting a new coaster in 2020. I think they'll probably add some family rides in 2020, which would make much more sense. Over Texas, I think, will be adding a coaster in 2020. Now, keep in mind, 2021 will be their 60th anniversary, so I imagine they'll mainly celebrate that year and not add a ride that year. So I think they'll add a B&M coaster in 2020. Now, Six Flags hasn't worked with B&M in years. However, I have a feeling that they'll start working with B&M again in 2020. I'm feeling one of three possibilities: a wing coaster, a floorless coaster, or a dive coaster. I feel like the dive coaster by far has the least likely chance of happening, and the floorless coaster model is not as popular as it used to be. I'm going to predict they're going to receive a B&M wing coaster in 2020, as they're still popular models, and they're currently only one wing coaster in the Six Flags chain. New England is a tough one. I could see New England go either way, honestly. I'm going to say they remove Goliath in 2019 after all the problems it has faced, and they'll get a launch coaster from S&S in its place in the likes of Max Force. Right now, the biggest gap in their lineup is they don't have a launch coaster. If Max Force goes over well and is reliable, I would definitely see another one go to New England. One of my home parks is up next, Six Flags Over Georgia. What's interesting is that I've heard from other sources that they're looking into a launch coaster, but they're also looking into a S&S Free Spin. I definitely think that's what's going to happen. I'm going to say next year, in 2020, Over Georgia receives a free spin, whether you view that as a good thing or a bad thing. Six Flags Mexico is a truly underrated park. That being said, though, they just got a free spin, so I'm not expecting them to get a coaster. I'm expecting a flat ride of some sort, since they're getting kids areas this year with a lot of kiddie rides in them. Discovery Kingdom, I said, was going to get this year, but they're getting a free spin instead. I'm saying they're not getting a coaster, and instead they're getting some family rides, since they've gotten a coaster 3 out of the last 4 years, including the Joker. Six Flags America, I'm kinda doubting that will receive a coaster in 2020, as they'll have just converted their former stand-up coaster, Apocalypse, to Firebird, a floorless coaster, so I think it's safe to scratch America off the list. St. Louis needs a new coaster desperately, and I'm going to say the same thing everyone else has said. I'm predicting an RMC Raptor coaster for Six Flags St. Louis in 2020. It would give Six Flags St. Louis their standout coaster that they need, because right now their best coaster, in my opinion, is American Thunder, which isn't bad, but there could be better options. Next is Darien Lake. This one is interesting. Yes, they just got Tantrum. However, I feel they could add a new coaster there in 2020 as well. Whether you like it or not, I'm going to predict they're going to a free spin in 2020. Whether you like that or not. Frontier City is adding a coaster this year in 2019, replacing their former kiddie coaster, so I'm doubting that they'll get a coaster in 2020. Remember, Six Flags just acquired this park last year, so it's still developing in the Six Flags chain. Second to last is Ronde, and I'm feeling good about this. I'm predicting they get a launch coaster in 2020. Right now, they don't have a launch coaster, and they have room left over from where Cobra formerly sat, which was a former Intamin stand-up coaster at the park. So I'm predicting a launch coaster for 2020. So, lastly is The Great Escape. If you think The Great Escape is going to receive a roller coaster in 2020, then I might want to point out to you that Six Flags really doesn't put that much money into this park. This is always at the bottom of the Six Flags chain. I'm predicting a small family ride in 2020. So that wraps it up. Obviously, not every one of these predictions are going to come true. However, I have a good feeling for some of them. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And this is Coasters and Things signing out. See you guys later.